on, it's all that dope. We be on the neck getting foolish. Live on the set with the gang and Mike Cooley. I'm just coolin', coolin' with the gang. Coolin' with the gang, Cooley in the gang. We be on the net getting foolish. Live on the set with the gang and Mike Cooley. I'm just coolin', coolin' with the gang. Coolin' with the gang, Cooley in the gang. Nothing better than a professor, watch him cook up coolin'. Big G, can't forget my nigga Mike Cooley. Keep it high like a pot of carrot, sweet as Mayberry. Question is she single? We'll find out when I call and I be geeking all G. Laughing till I'm nauseous, caution, they going all in. Leaving no stones unturned, no topic untouched. They love to cuss and they fuck shit up. Brother, I keep my money right. Make sure you keep that money right. Make sure you keep that money right. Glam sham, keep the jewelry tight, make sure you keep it. We on weekly, make sure you peep it. Matt King, state of mind, the best kept secret. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, so do it. Introduce it, the gang and Mike Cooley. We be on the neck getting foolish. Live on the set with the gang and Mike Cooley. I'm just coolin', coolin' with the gang. Coolin' with the gang, Cooley in the gang. We be on the net getting foolish. Live on the set with the gang and Mike Cooley. I'm just coolin', coolin' with the gang. Coolin' with the gang, Cooley in the gang.
You are tuned in to the Cooley and the Gang Show on Blockworks Radio.
Wait, okay. You can hear me now. There we go. Oh yeah, I had to fuck it up one time. Yeah. Might even be an echo now. Oh, that's okay. Cool. All right. Sorry about that, Drew. Is it an echo?
No, they just have.
That's their fault.
Oh, all right, cool.
Feedback. I think we good, bro.
All right. This setup took about
3 hours.
might took longer than that, but we did it, and we here. I hear something coming on my computer. I want to pick up where we kind of left off last week because we really didn't get into the whole Texas shooting thing because more information has come out since we ended the last show as far as just different details from the shooting. Just bear with me one time. Have y'all been keeping up with it at all?
I have.
I mean, sad. It's hard not to.
I'm trying to avoid it so much. That's too much.
Yeah.
No, y'all gonna have to remember to talk into the mics a little bit. Shannon, you on punishment.
I said.
Yeah, that was my bad. Sorry about that.
No, that was in Buffalo.
Sorry, the Buffalo shooting. His brother, you created a car that engine that ran on water. Yeah. Yeah.
Hold up. Test. Yeah, he was creating a car that rode on water.
Yeah. There was another guy that was on the same thing about 30 years ago and ended up dead. We probably want that technology to get out.
It was. Yeah, that, bro. Was it a teacher who was killed and then her husband had the heart attack a couple days later?
That was the Texas one.
That was the Texas one. Yeah.
But that wasn't the kids, the children one? I thought she was
Texas.
That was
okay,
Texas.
they all started running together now. I mean,
They so close together.
The television. Did you want to put that down?
Sienna's,
You know, I didn't
the
notice
little girl
that.
who played dead,
Yeah.
but she actually ended up dying though.
I don't even know where to put it.
Well, the
I
no,
could
because
have
if you
sworn
put it
on
on
the
the
news
floor,
the
the
other night when I
camera
was
ain't
watching
gonna
it,
catch
they
it.
were saying that she eventually died at when they got her to the hospital. She died because that was one of the biggest things because they were saying because the police officer took so long to infiltrate the school that had they gotten in there earlier, that she probably would have survived because of the fact that she ended up like bleeding.
That was the one that played dead.
Yeah. Yeah, she played dead, but by the time when they actually got her to the hospital, I think she died. And if I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but I was unfortunately watching the news the other night. That's what they were saying. And it was because they were talking about the police aspect of it and them taking so long to go into the school.
Okay, so the only part I might be confused about was it was two girls. One of them did get shot, one of them didn't.
I think they
both got shot.
They both got hit.
And she just used blood from she played dead on top of the other girl, but by the time she got to see, I misunderstood that. I thought she didn't get shot and kind of used blood from the other girl. That's what I thought it happened.
The man last night, well, I think it was last night when we was watching on the night before, that's what he was saying, because then he went into the fact that had the police officers gotten there early enough.
But they were there.
Had they got in
okay.
there
all right.
early
Okay.
enough,
They was there.
she would, by the time, she would still be alive. I think she actually ended up dying at the hospital because they were saying that pretty much like she bled out.
Right. And my mom also said that I think there was some little kids that was underneath a desk that had like drapings, like what we have on this table. And basically what the shooter was doing was, it was kind of confusing. The kids didn't know if that was the police or the shooter. And what the shooter would do is when a kid would, he would say, "This is the police," and the kids would pop up and he shot her.
God damn.
And he shot his grandmother, but his grandmother is she's still in critical condition. He shot her in the face.
And that's what he did first. He shot his grandmother.
No, she's still
critical
alive,
condition.
He shot her in the face, so she's still surviving. So
in the face?
Yeah, in the face.
She didn't get shot. But the friend died. The friend ended up dying.
Okay, all right. Well, the way that the guy said online, then he must have misunderstood too.
He must have.
All right, investigate in the crowd.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, we are coming to you live from Legendary Lifestyle Cafe, 1301 North Broadway. Brother Nance opened his doors to us. We got some sugar cane. He's he's actually in the kitchen. What did y'all eat?
They had the Maryland lobster roll and the Thurgood Marshall.
But the food is all
Plant-based.
plant-based. This is all plant-based. All plant-based meals here. So definitely, if you get a chance to come and patronize this establishment, definitely check it out. 1301 North Broadway, Legendary Lifestyle Cafe. It sits right on the corner. You can't miss it when you're coming down corner of Broadway and Preston.
Nice vibe in there.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Smells good.
And I'm gonna say this because I was skeptical. Give me my chicken. I was highly impressed.
You want some tofurkey now?
No, I don't want no tofu, but I'll eat what's on the menu again. I definitely would eat what's on the menu again. Yeah, sorry y'all got to see this, but it is what it is.
I mean, I'm slowly coming around. Like once, like I do the cauliflower rice now, and then what was that crap you did with the spaghetti the other day?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was spaghetti squash. We had instead of noodles.
Yeah, spaghetti squash. That
One
wasn't.
day at a time, y'all. One day at a time, bro.
Zucchini noodles good too.
Yeah, that wasn't
They went
bad.
too fast. The zucchini noodles.
Yeah, come on around, Vance. I mean, the food, from what I understood, the food is very good. Brother Nance gonna have to put me on to something before we leave, but we're gonna be here vibing out for a minute. BYOB, come say what's up. Yeah. So back to Texas. I'm sorry, that was a weird ass. Yeah, that shit was different. But it's what I do. Yeah. So the police. Now it's been a lot of back and forth about the standing outside shit for an hour. I heard 60, heard 90 minutes, but I do have a video I want to play of, the parents wanting to get in there. I mean, one parent was like, look, give me your vest and the gun. I'll go take care of the shit myself. But like being in the same room with the professor now, I'm so scared to actually play a video because if it don't go the way it's supposed to go, like I'm gonna give it a shot. Now, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this because I had to unplug the loudspeaker, and now we just figured out because I'm looking at the live, looking at the TV on the other end, and I'm trying to think in my mind too. Okay, where the fuck can I put this TV so I can get off this camera too? There's a lot going on in here tonight, so you got plenty of time to come on down and help me figure this shit out. I'm going to attempt to play this video. I'm not sure the best way to handle the sound part of it, but I'm going to. Goddamn right.
Hey, the only
Let's see what happens when I do this. I'm gonna go old school the way we used to do it. Somebody gotta get on Facebook. Let me know.
My Chase voice, bro. I'm about to be litty.
Yeah, it works.
Look at that shit, bro. They're all in there. The cops ain't doing shit but standing outside.
You can't.
Look, they're over there with the guns. And all the parents are gonna go in. They.
Like our kids are there, man.
Man, y'all can't be like that, man. Y'all can't be like that when there's people. Yes, I do. Get across the street. Because I'm having to deal with you. Get across the street. Get across the street. We're gonna back up, or you're gonna walk into that gate and get up. Man, y'all get fired with guns. We'll get fired with guns. We'll get fired with guns. I have the rifles here. You know that there are kids, right? 60-year-old kids in there. They don't know how to defend themselves from a shooter.
Take them the fuck out.
Look, they're.
And in my mind right now, I'm thinking, how many of those parents that's in that group right there getting yelled at like that lost their child?
Right.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Wow.
So
Yelling at me and you're not doing nothing.
James said we got to get it together. What I do? Did I do something?
Just Mike Cooley style. Period.
Oh yeah. So I mean, so what do y'all think now, Professor? I'm not gonna start with you. I wish G was in here, but so
As a
My
parent,
thing is, what the fuck was they doing?
yeah.
They knew what was going on inside. What was the point of standing outside?
Because they scared.
And it's not like they was huddled up trying to
like
figure
that.
shit out, game planning or something. They just chilling.
Right.
That's a fucked up situation.
I'll be honest, as a parent,
Like you said, they're kids. They don't know how
Yeah.
to defend themselves.
I would go off. They probably would have had to arrest me.
And not making it racial, but if it was
Some white kid.
black families out there,
no, here
that
it come.
crowd would have been a lot
Here it
different.
come.
Like
That train
we
ain't
would
never
have been
late.
locked up because we charging like we charging in. That part too.
Right.
That part too.
Right.
That part too.
True.
I'm not arguing with none of this. I'm just taking it.
And what's going on? He was 18.
Yeah, 18.
He a
19.
child himself.
Yeah, he was 18.
But my thing is, why shoot the elementary school kids?
I was in my mind, I'm thinking, did he just end up there? Because he crashed his car in the ditch,
Okay.
abandoned the vehicle, and just kind of the school was right there. Just kind of went inside the school, found an unlocked door, went inside the school.
Oh wow.
Because he actually, before he went into school, after he crashed, he actually shot at 2 individuals that were at a funeral home that was across the street.
Oh,
He shot at them first,
Oh wow.
and then went into the school.
Wow. Okay.
But how do you feel about the police officer?
I would probably end up being arrested because I probably would have laid hands on him.
Because they actually got into fight. The police exchanged fire with him first, and
Right.
then went back to take cover.
Take cover. Oh well, Lord.
And they kind of waited because I guess I don't know. They just did, but
Maybe they didn't have. So basically, there wasn't enough police officers.
I heard they waited for the FBI and all of that as well
Lord have mercy.
to get on scene too.
That's where I'm at.
But they
Yeah,
were
right
saying
in
that
the
they were
corner.
waiting for a key to get in.
A key?
Like a key to get in. Like I kept hearing about this key. Like
If he could get in, he didn't need no key. They could got in. Lord.
yeah, I've heard a couple times that they were waiting for like some key.
No, see.
So I don't know. Like it's
would've
a lot that went wrong with this situation. But we're pretty sure Professor is going to do what Professor does.
Yeah, I'm looking at him like this, like
and break it down.
But a lot of people say, I've heard that, one of the things that people really enjoy about this show is the fact that everybody has a different opinion. We already know sometimes I know where some of y'all gonna come from. Sometimes I'll be like, oh shit. But I don't think there's ever been a point to where nobody here has said anything that I would be like, oh, you're just fucking insane. I'll take a piece of it. What'd you say? Take the meat, throw the fucking bones away. Like, so Professor. Yeah, here it go.
All right, so we all adults, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
How many of y'all know how to deal with an active shooter? All right, that's the first thing. Second thing is, you one in a million. Second thing is, you're talking about police officers. We're not talking about tactical. We're not talking about SWAT. We're not talking about anybody that deals with active shooters on a regular basis. They're beat cops. They're cops that just do regular shit. I don't know a whole lot about that city, but I'm quite sure it's nothing like the inner city of. We'll go to use Baltimore. We can say Houston or any other place in that area. So they may never have dealt with a scenario like that. But let's just go for the sake of saying conversation that they had dealt with something like that. They still have to come up with a plan. Right? They didn't wake up that morning knowing that they had to deal with an active shooter. Another thing people don't take into consideration is just because someone says there's one shooter doesn't mean there's one shooter.
They're just all parking outside, man. They need to go.
No real idea of what they're dealing with. So they got to do an assessment. The assessment is on their timeline based off of what information they had, not based off of the parents' thoughts and how they think they're supposed to move. They have to move in a way that they can make it home at the end of the night. I understand that it's children. I know we're going to be sensitive about children, but here's the realistic part of it. As a protector of the peace and a protector of my family and myself, I want to make it home too, right? So you think because it's children in there, I'm supposed to run in that gung ho and risk my life and my squad's life for the children that's inside the building, when we can come up with a plan that makes more sense and save the majority. Before I came, I was just playing like this whole scenario in my mind, and I was saying to myself, it's always convenient to come up with the easy answer, but usually the easy answer is not the answer to the problem. It's usually the thing that takes a little bit of work that's that real answer to the problem. I'm not saying what the police did was right. I'm not saying what they did was wrong. I wasn't there. I don't know the scenario. I know the parents are at a heightened level, but truth be told, being heightened and being overly involved, which as a parent you're supposed to do, doesn't help the situation. They're trying to figure it out. They don't really know what to do, so they have to try to put pieces together as they come. They're getting certain things from the school. They're getting certain things from the parents. They're getting certain intel. They may have somebody watching the building. So while they're getting the intel, they still got to figure out, okay, I have 20 men behind me, right? We've already been shot at. We've already engaged with the we've already engaged with the shooter. So because we've already done those things, we now have to deal with that shooter. I mean, we now have to deal with what's going on at hand. So because of what's going on at hand, you know, you can't be mad at, well, I won't be mad at the police officers. And of course, it's easier said than done, you know, standing from the outside. But you got to deal with, you got to deal with the shooter, but it got to make sense.
So,
I don't like when he makes me think, like, think. Like, what he said made sense. Like, we're all thinking from, like, that moment of, that's our child, but not really thinking from a practical point. Yeah, I wasn't thinking like that. I probably wouldn't have been thinking like that, but yeah, I don't like it.
I'm right there with Shannon.
But I don't like it.
I'm right there with Shannon. I wouldn't be thinking. The only thing I'd be thinking is my child's birth, the whole thing. I'll be like, I gotta go in and save my son. And any child, to be honest.
Right, and I mean that's the natural thing to do. That's that makes sense. I mean, you're talking about
Emotional.
Yeah. Just think about it. When the conversation came up, and we said children, right? Mm-hmm. The emotions automatically flooded because it was about children. But even though it is children, you still have to operate in a certain way. You still got to do things in a certain way. You don't want to risk your whole team. So let's just say, for the sake of saying, they said it was one shooter. They go in there and it's really 3 or 4. Or it was one that was already in there, but he came in and now they all activated. Now they all ready to fight the police. They don't know what type of training they had. They don't know what's going on inside the building. They don't know if there's a sniper somewhere in there. They go in there and just pick off a couple of officers. Now what? Now you got a situation. You have officers down inside the building. You have children that are being hurt. Now you have a whole shitload of stuff that's going on top of what was already there. It don't make sense.
They get paid to protect and serve.
But protect and serve don't mean to kill and serve. You still have an obligation. So in saying that would be unfair to your family. What person would take that job if they thought that every day they come to work, they're coming to lose their life? Not risk, but lose their life. There's no plan. Build a plan, then move. Nobody in here would move like that outside of it. We were talking about your own personal children.
well, hold on, let me get another comment.
That's a book.
Okay, so Rashad said, I hear all that, but it's still BS. It's no way parents arrived to the scene and the police department still hadn't breached the school with a plan. If the parents arrive faster than a tactical team, the problem is with the police department. The police department has training on active shooters. They give training to local places such as hospitals, schools, government buildings. These officers failed all the way around the board.
We do get active training in the government, but I don't think I'll be able to handle an active shooter in that moment. I don't think none of us do it. So, once again, look at, I don't think I'll be able to handle. Who's that? Somebody's phone. Are you? Oh. His phone.
Vance, that's your phone? That's your phone?
I was like, why? I don't like to hear myself.
All right, I mean, well, anybody else want to chime in? Mayberry, is the professor out of line? Because please tell him he's just. Oh, the police from the Texas shooting taken out.
I don't know.
Oh, that's the answer.
She just so bad. She just so.
Y'all confusing the whole.
She just got it. Y'all know he a little rattled on this in person.
So I think, of course, majority of people, because we don't know and it's not what we do, we automatically going to jump, especially if that was my child. I probably wouldn't be trying to hear shit, especially if I lost my child. There's probably nothing that anybody could say that would even make me think. I mean, all right, well, let's just say that the police followed all the right procedures. Do you think the response time from the unit they were waiting for, that was just too much? Too long? You think that could have been just too long?
I absolutely think that there's some other things that could have been done. I think that. So, I work for the state, and if you work for the state, federal government, or the city, you already know that they have a reactive approach as opposed to a proactive approach. So I think that this scenario is going to create a trickle-down effect to start practicing these types of scenarios, because we're seeing them happen a little too often.
Sorry. He dropped me off, and then he had to find parking. Sorry.
It's all love. It's all love.
Why he gotta sit there and look all smooth?
Bruh.
I got headphones too. I just followed what the boss said. Bring headphones
Everybody on headphones?
and microphones.
I got headphones.
I got headphones too, and I got microphones. I just want to say that. I'm just saying.
Somebody's in trouble.
So look,
Go ahead,
Bruh.
you got that.
I think that it could have been. It could have been a quicker response time, but I mean, how do you determine that though? How do you figure that out based off of what? How you feel, or what you know? I mean, there's so many dynamics that could take place in that scenario. I mean, we're not talking about right and wrong. We're just talking about a matter of prepared or not prepared. It sounds like they were not prepared. It sounds like they just did what they thought they had to do, or had the ability to do at that moment. And it just wasn't good enough.
So I'm gonna throw something on the table. I'm not sure if you're about to pivot, but I was asked, do you think that if the nationality of the group was different?
Hold up, don't do that yet. G, get the fuck. Tell us. Sit in the chair, man.
My mic ain't.
They all on. They all on.
Oh, we got it.
Yeah, you can take it off.
Yeah, he's gonna get screwed up.
Okay, we're gonna tie it in. She's going to be closer than
What
close.
happened?
You know somebody.
We're talking about the.
Try colors and get that.
If y'all want somebody else, somebody else can pivot up top.
Okay, go ahead.
I go big.
Because
No.
I thought you would leave it. So G, what happened was we were picking up what we left off last week with the Texas shooting with the kids. I think you missed that. We were talking about what happened in Texas. Today we just picked back up on it with the fact that information came out that it took the cops 60, 90 minutes before they actually breached the building.
So y'all said if it was blacks, then it would be something different?
I didn't say that.
I was
but
going to ask that question just to kind of just get a different
just first,
narrative.
before you dive into that, how do you feel like the situation? How do you feel the situation was handled altogether?
All right, so I really didn't watch. I didn't really pay no attention. I come from a family where everything's a conspiracy and nothing's real. I'm our sister that's way up and down that Sandy Hook was a movie. We just we live in some fucked up times. So I mean anything's possible. I don't think that the way it happened. Is there a right or wrong way to assess what happened? Like, all of us could have said what we would have done, or we could have done, or should have been done, or the measures that they took to overcome what happened. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm lost on this.
I respect that. I do. Go ahead, Shannon. Go ahead and drop the race bomb. That's what y'all colors like to do. Go ahead.
We have to. I mean, it's the elephant in the room because there are people who feel like.
And I was being sarcastic.
Hey, that was a school in the urban community, or in the white community, and the active shooter was a black individual. That they would have definitely responded and would have been in there. Like I've heard that.
I think a stupid cop is just.
Was it a white school or a black school?
It was Hispanic, majority Hispanic.
And he was Hispanic, right?
Yes, he was
Yeah.
Latino.
So
I changed my answer. That shit couldn't happen in Wildwood Elementary Middle School. They shot that motherfucker coming through the door. It might have been a kid that shot him. I feel like we all have to police ourselves, and in certain communities, certain things go down differently. If it had been a white neighborhood, a white school, white shooter, you probably wouldn't have known his name. You wouldn't have known anything about him. It would have just went away. Just like you look at the Buffalo shit, it went away. He went there, and I saw the video, and I think I cried for about 10 minutes.
I couldn't watch it.
Some asshole sent it to me. I didn't know what it was, so I was watching it because I didn't even see what I didn't even really pay no attention because I walked into work and somebody was talking about it, and then I went on my phone and the asshole that sent it to me didn't give me no.
You were tuned into the Cooley.
He closed one eye, no warning. It was straight there. And when it came on, it was like Grand Theft Auto. It was just like too fucking real to me. The first person I watched this poor lady just like fall on the ground. And then this punk cock motherfucking sucker goes inside and shoots a lady. She's on the ground. You can see her brains blown out. Like it was horrible. So like, I mean, that was just the part that I saw. So it'll go away. You would never hear about it if that had been in the way. So it's all, and I don't like to use the color thing because Professor always says it's not always about color. But at the end of the day, that's all it is about is color. What happens to them don't happen to us. It's bullshit.
Yes. Well, you're tuned into the cool. Oh, that's outside. You're tuned into the Cool in the Gang show. Dang, I was about to say live again. Live every Tuesday night. Psych.
You ain't had to do that.
I know that was terrible.
That was
terrible.
Bruh.
You know, you have some
You're a
people,
little too excited
people
about
out
this
here
last show.
that's really hurt about this.
You got some people that's sitting right here that's a little hurt about it.
I'm excited to be here.
Oh, so you telling us to be in the moment?
Yeah, we got to be in the moment.
I mean,
until we turn the cameras off, then
and
we
then
can,
say,
we can
fuck
drink,
us.
eat some good plant-based food, and then we can cry, and then we can think
They
about
don't
what
cry.
we're doing next.
It's an ass whooping.
No. He get fucked up as soon as we get off.
I got a 6-pack of ass whooping in the car.
Yeah, you definitely got to catch them hands and feet. All that.
Brother Ike is in the building.
Yo.
Appreciate you. That's your sister behind you.
Yeah, that's her.
I knew it was. I'm just waiting for Ariel. You got to go in the Facebook room and put the comments in there because you dropped the best comments. Yeah.
She do have the best comments.
She dropped the best one.
Yes, she definitely does.
Brother Ike, we appreciate it. You keep your word all the time.
That's been shitty. Then I love y'all.
We appreciate it, brother. Man, I ain't even got no
got no
sound
hand
effect
claps?
for that. Oh yeah, I do, but y'all can't.
So for all y'all out there, let us know if he actually did get a hand clip.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're coming to you live from Legendary Lifestyle Cafe. Wonderful establishment. Shout out to Brother Nance. A couple people have eaten. I got some sugar cane that the wife spiked with some friends, tequila with friends. I did bring the gold bottle.
Our gold bottle.
I brought our gold bottle. There's the gold bottle.
So is a shot going to be a thing?
Yes. Put our gold bottle on the table. Our gold bottle.
It says Cool in the Gang. You got the CNT. Yeah, show them. That's our bottle.
Oh, wait a minute. So.
Yeah.
Oh. Fancy.
They were such girls.
So when you pop that bottle, you keeping that, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
please do.
definitely gonna keep it. I paid extra for that bottle. We appreciate it, James Dickey. It's good to be live. It almost gives me the basement vibe, but of course, Brother Nance's establishment is a lot better looking in the basement. But and the food is that was close.
We're not gonna talk about it.
I almost said the food is better.
It is. I ain't feed your motherfuckers.
And she's not lying. She did.
And she made that clear. When she was upstairs, she was like,
Chinese food that other night.
he did.
I almost remember the order. It was like chicken and broccoli with white sauce. Like, every Friday it was the second.
My brother Tay Thompson is in the building. Watch Productions been behind us from day one. He's getting some background footage from me. Dina's here. She was supposed to be on the show. just like Jennifer was, and I did try to set it up with Dina, but then she said, no, Dina did come on. She was in a car though. It was like late in the fourth quarter when like 2 or 3 y'all didn't show up. Thank you, Dina, for doing that. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
shade.
NJ Rich is here. Sienna's here. Tamara is here. Vance is in the building. Vance walked in and made his presence known. I thought you were security at first. I said, oh, yeah. That's good. But I definitely appreciate all of y'all for definitely coming out. But we'll save that for the end. Let's keep moving. It was something else that I was just thinking about. Oh, I was going back, of course, to old shows. And I listened to when we, of course, interviewed Turk and Donnell Jones. But I don't think Donnell Jones likes me. I thought I did.
No.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't.
He wasn't that he didn't like you. You kept fucking up.
Yeah,
you kept saying the CD Where I Want to Be was his first CD, and that was not it. And Mike kept going on.
Who the fuck knows that?
Mike, it's not about knowing that. It's about the seat that you sit in, and then when you ask the guest to come over, you have to do your due diligence.
I didn't find that in somewhere. I didn't find it in. You can't even Google that shit.
Yeah, you can. But he was irritated because you can't.
It might not be on iTunes, but it is on the Google.
No, I told him that was my favorite album.
But you should have just stuck with that was your favorite album. But you
I didn't say that though. I got proof.
He had a bit that he was your ass, but you was consistent about Where I Want to Be. He was the first album.
Look, I was trying to make a little good sample video, and I was like, man, it ain't really no good parts of this motherfucker.
My little question, I'm gonna hold on to that for decades. When I asked him what group, like, because the TGT with Tyrese.
But he was in another group before that.
Yeah, but I wanted to see what his group would be. Remember, he said everybody. He was like, Thomas, I think, and some other cats. I was like, oh, all right. You get to see what people's perspective is on music at school.
So I want to play that clip too, because the interview with Turk went good, and a lot of people don't realize we had them both on the same night. Yeah, they both came on the same night. Couldn't pull that shit off again if I tried. I definitely tried. Worked that time though. But anyway, we're gonna move on. I gotta lean over some so I can see my videos. So I sent one last thing on the Texas thing, and this is something I sent to the professor. And it was from Candace Owens. And Candace Owens was good to y'all last week. So no. Everybody was like, Candace did okay last week. So
we said okay. We didn't say we love her.
Well, guess what?
For real.
So Candace had a post. So Candace Owens on an 18-year-old Texas school shooter. An adult man that wants to dress up like a female is a glaring symbol of mental disease. Then she went on to say, I think this was a tweet. An adult man that wants to dress up like a female is a glaring symbol of mental disease. A society driven by cowardice prevents this topic from being discussed honestly and openly. All of our children are at risk because we refuse to acknowledge and instead encourage mental illness. Let's go to the last one. I am a mother. If you think that calling me transphobic is going to prevent me from protecting my children from harmful societal lies and the predators that perpetuate them, then you must have no idea what a mother is capable of.
Try me.
Out of bounds? Because, the first thing, when things like this happen, the first thing people want to jump on is mental illness.
Right.
Buffalo, mental illness. Texas, mental illness. I don't think you always got to be crazy just to do bad shit. Sometimes bad people just do bad things. Sometimes.
That motherfucker, to do shit like that, you gotta be fucked up in the head.
To kill children?
Yes.
But to say that, then we must also say that all pedophiles have a mental illness and should have a special consideration for them.
Not a consideration.
But mental illness gets you a special consideration.
Do you want?
But we don't want special consideration. I just want to call you fucking crazy because it's
that's
no. It's not because you don't have a mental illness. You're crazy. That's the line. You have a mental illness where we can help you.
The problem,
or you fucking crazy and nobody can fucking help you at all.
The problem is how people define mental illness. Okay, everybody thinks that mental illness is supposed to look one way, and that is what's ignorant. That's the stupidity behind it. There's people that just because you don't see a scar, this is how ignorant we are in our society, that just because you can't see it, it doesn't mean somebody's suffering. And there are different levels to mental health. Somebody that is struggling from anxiety and depression is not going to look like a sociopath. It's always going to look different. We're looking for, I would say, a uniform in mental health, and that's the stupidity behind it. There's no such thing as that, and people have to be a little bit more open to it. I'm not saying that any of this behavior is correct. I'm not condoning it and supporting it. But until you are actually suffering from mental health, you don't know what that's going to look like. And you can't tell somebody else, oh, well, because maybe I got anxiety and depression and I handle it this way. Somebody else with anxiety and depression will probably do want to go out and kill people. Maybe want to kill themselves. They're suicidal. So how is it supposed to look? And I think that's what the issue is.
I think my issue with it is all of that and the fact that people use it just to get out of things.
Correct.
You say people that touch kids. I feel like in my mind, if you touch a kid, you should let like that gay uncle fuck you in the ass or something like that. Like
Hold that.
I feel like that's what you should do.
You trying to get kicked off, right? We already itching it. He said his goal tonight is to get kicked off.
We get kicked off. We get kicked off. I'm gonna take us there. That's real shit. I mean, and you think about if you hear some of the stories of the people that were molested, it be a family member and shit like that. Like those people that's touching kids, yeah, let their gay uncle go rape their father or something. An eye for an eye. A motherfucker go in there and play mental ill or all that other shit. You go in there and shoot up a hospital with babies or elementary school with babies. I should be able to go in there and like kick your little sister in the nuts or.
She don't have no nuts. You want me to fight? You want to act like it?
I should be able to like kick the babies down the hole or something like that. Like that's an eye for an eye. Like you stealing and you get caught.
In some countries, like
but you know, even in the courts, the attorneys will sit back and try to leverage mental health. So I do agree with that. I do know that mental health looks different on people or whatever they're suffering from. But I also hate the fact that it gets leveraged for people to get away with stuff. And you see a lot of attorneys will do that real quick for their client and say, well, no, we're going to say that he was insane. They're quick to throw that out there to get people off. And I think that that's up because then it stops people that really need help from getting help.
So is there a line for those folks?
No.
What you mean, right?
I know.
So do we need the mic or do you think we could probably
Do you?
Here's my whole thing about these shootings, right? Has anybody ever loaded up an AR-15 assault rifle?
Yeah.
You have.
We know.
You know what you have to do to load that clip. 40, 30, 45, 60 clip.
Yeah.
You gotta sit there and fucking do that the whole time. And mind you, you do 3 or 4 of those, right? Then you turn around and know, okay, I'm gonna take this particular gun with me. I'm gonna put this bitch in the car and I'm gonna drive there.
Not the bitch.
I'm gonna drive there. And then you already, I don't care what nobody says, you have to tactically see how a building is set up to get inside. Period. Period. So he knew what the fuck he was doing. And the fact that he knew what his grandmother was. For both of them. Fuck both of them. I hope they fucking come back to life and die 15 times. And all that. Mental health is bullshit in these 2 cases and anything that's involving a handgun. Other shit where I can see somebody jumping off a building. That's different. That's something, yeah, you fucked up. But a motherfucker was going to go get a handgun and then you went and shot them fucking babies.
You rode out a plane.
Yo, that nigga don't even need a fucking funeral.
No, and I think I definitely think that that's wrong in those situations and scenarios, but there are people that have mental health and they do pull out a gun and they go and kill people. We see it with children in school. They get picked on, they get bullied, and they feel a certain way and then they do that. So that's why I'm saying we can't look at shit as a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter approach. You really have to assess situations and scenarios and say, okay, this fits. The problem is nobody's really doing that. It's really no way to govern it. There's no way to govern it and say, okay, this is really mental health because they're going to pick and choose the color of the person because it might be a black thing. It's not going to be mental health. Let's just keep it a buck. But when it's a white person, they're going to consider stuff. No, they didn't. That's what my point is. It can't be convenience of mental health, and then you have to assess the situation and equally say, okay, A and 1 + 1, this is going to be, this equals this. This equals this. That's not what's going on. So this is why people can leverage mental health at their convenience and at their leisure because of that.
Well, the DSM-5 is like 1,000 pages, and it's super long. It's a huge book, and anybody who's actually even seen the book, this is one of the books that they use to determine what's mental health. Correct me if I'm wrong. When a diagnosis is for somebody. So the majority of when I look through it, and I'm gonna say I skimmed it because it is really, really long. There are a lot of things are spectrum based. So there's like they say, there's levels to this, right? And so just because somebody is dealing in one area or dealing in another area with whatever experiences they have going on in their lives, one day could be a good day. Another day could be a bad day, but because it's such a spectrum, you cannot always place a bracket around it. And one of the reasons why people aren't getting diagnosed, from my perspective, is sometimes it takes multiple instances for it to even come up as to be a mental health concern.
True.
Sometimes they look at one, just it happening once, and they don't classify it as a mental health issue or mental health concern. It has to be perpetuated or done more than one time for somebody to even red flag it or notice it. But then you also have to have enough individuals who are experienced with mental health around people. There has to be a greater population of individuals with the skills, knowledge, and abilities to diagnose people, so that if you have somebody who is going through something, there is somebody there that they can talk to, somebody that can help them through that situation. And hopefully these things don't happen. But when you're talking about mental illness, and when you look at the material that's out there, it is extremely difficult for us to just categorize everybody and everything, because there are some people who have multiple diagnoses, and when they mix those diagnoses together, you don't know what can happen with that individual.
Dina,
Yes.
set us straight.
I agree with everyone. They all racial disparities and mental health. I think one of you guys said that if it was a black, the DC syndrome, it would not be the same. But I do think that mental health is a convenience in cases like this.
So I had somebody sent me not a press conference, but it was a conversation between Ted Cruz and somebody else. He was talking about, the guy asked him, how come there's so many killings, so many mass shootings in the United States, or gun problems in the United States? And Ted Cruz said something along the lines of, people always want to make this a political issue. He kind of like went back to talk about the children and, how things should have, how it is a problem, recognize the problem, we're trying to figure out, what is the best solution. So, just out of curiosity, how many people believe that stricter gun laws, how many people believe that stricter gun laws would change these scenarios? I mean, you don't have to answer. I'm just curious because.
So I just had a question, because I think I asked Mike about that. When we speak of stricter gun laws, what exactly does that entail?
Whatever your fantasy is, because see, here's the thing. Because
everybody has a different determination of stricter laws.
Right, but the reality of it is this. So I just wanted to do a little bit of research on it, because at some point that comes up quite often. People talk about gun laws versus alternatives, and just based off of the research that I looked at, first of all, they made a great point. They said, first of all, you have to determine how do you qualify a mass shooting? So what happened the other day, both incidents, they don't qualify as mass shootings. They said it has to be 38 people or more to qualify as a mass shooting.
And when I was in the numbers, it said 5.
To get the statistics, as far as statistics are concerned. Now, as far as different areas, it might be something different. But as far as the overall statistics for the United States, it said it has to be a minimum of 38 people involved.
right?
And that number's probably going up
Excluding-
just to keep the stats right.
Right. Excluding the shooter. But the numbers are so low for that. Let's just say, for the sake of conversation, you added in all the other ones that you know about. The numbers are so low. So
Yeah, because it ain't 38 motherfuckers. Let's make the number 5. If a mass shooting is 5, the numbers go to fuck up.
So let's make the mass shooting 5, right?
It's about 1,000 of them.
It's about 1,000 of them. Now, we're going back to the gun laws.
All right. Oh, gun laws. What the fuck is a gun law? You say a stricter gun law.
Right.
Obviously, there ain't too many fucking gun laws. What is a gun law?
Gotta be 18.
Can I have a gun?
Can't get a gun at 18.
All right. Give me 10 gun laws that they had, and then we can go from.
They need to put a psych evaluation in there.
Okay, so now here we are in a different state.
So I'm in the military, right? Okay. So I'm in the military. I can, in the state of Maryland, I can own an AR. I own an AR myself. To go back to something that y'all said earlier, to load and unload an AR, I'm trained in the M4. Been trained for 19 years. The level of skill that takes to load and unload, you train me that. That's not premeditation. So like, I go to the gun range with my unit. We have to qualify to be able to carry an M4. But that's not an easy task. It's like you have to know where it is, select it, push the pedal, know where it is, drop it. It's a continuous motion. It's something you have to practice. To answer your question, so I was turning off something. I was watching the call. So, but that's one thing. But to answer your question, so like Maryland and places like Alabama and Texas, I don't think it's anymore here, but an AR is considered a long rifle, which is considered a hunting rifle. So you can get that at any Walmart.
Oh wow!
And you can walk in and buy AR at any Walmart. So when I bought mine, even though I'm in the military, so certain gun laws, for instance, it depends on handgun or hunting rifle. So for a handgun, you can't just get a concealed and carry in Maryland. There's things that you have to go through, and the state of Maryland doesn't recognize other states' handguns. So you have to be. It gets down in the weeds a little bit with certain things. So like, yes, you have to be 18. You have to pass the background check in the state of Maryland. You have to, but that background check can be 24 hours, or it can go deep dive. So if it doesn't come up initially, you can go back and get your long gun the next day, or you used to. When I bought a gun, put in my paperwork, walked away, came back. Was it a week later? Like a week or so later, and got my gun and went on my merry way. There's no real, in my opinion, as a gun owner and somebody who believes in my right to own a gun, there's no real. It's kind of loose, and like the way the laws are, it's kind of loose.
So and I got you. So that's my question. Like you take maybe stricter gun laws. Like what the fuck could be any stricter than?
You can standardize it across the board.
Across the board.
You can standardize.
And then everybody's gonna argue about that. I live in Oklahoma. I should be able to shoot 30 niggas, and I should be able to shoot my gun.
I'm the only POC in my squad.
Okay.
And I'm the only female in not my squad.
You should only have one gun to do a female.
I only have one.
And you're a black female, so you should have like 38 special. I want you to sit there with a little revolver. That's up, yeah.
Where I work at, I'm the only POC that's there right now. It's only 2 of us, but I'm the only female POC. And we had this conversation about it. And one of my coworkers made a good point. It's a secular conversation. We're talking about gun laws, but we're also talking about our right to bear arms, right? And then you throw into that the fact that the political, diversion with it. So like the Democrats and Republicans, it's just a secular. We're asking the wrong questions. I think we're asking the wrong questions. Like, is it a mental illness issue? Yes. Is it a family issue because people ain't being raised right? Absolutely. Is it, we got all of these Facebook police and all of that. This man posted 3 or 4 times that he was going to kill somebody, he killed somebody, and I'm going to kill some more people, and nobody put that. I mean, there's a whole lot of levels of failure in this situation.
But they'll catch a rapper on there flexing some marijuana and some money real quick.
If I say I'm about to go punch Keisha in her face, somebody tell her I said that, I'm in face with you.
You're not even blocked. They also called the police and they at your front door ready to get your black ass real quick.
So, I feel like the professor. Me and him always go at it about these guns. I don't like guns at all. I feel like all the guns should just be thrown in the ocean and we should just have to fight each other. I don't know. So my question to you is stricter gun laws. I think it might work. Like the young lady said, if it's the same thing across the board, let's do that and let's see where that gets us. But again, I live in Oklahoma. I should be able to kill 3 colours, and I want to have a long rifle in the back of my pickup truck with my goat.
You already know. Not my goat.
To shoot at the colors.
Yeah.
So the point I was trying to get to is, whether you got stricter gun laws or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the fact that people have mental issues and other issues.
And you colors are gonna do what the hell y'all want to do.
Absolutely.
I think most of these guns are illegal anyway.
So this is the reason why I even talk about it, is because when the person sent me the video, I told him, we had a conversation about the fact that saying that stricter gun laws can't be 18 to purchase a gun. You need a background check. Well, I said, well, at 18 to 21 years old, I mean, what does your background want to say? I go to school. I mean, if you are applying for a gun at that age or 21, what exactly are you looking to see? As outside of people that live in urban communities get into certain problems, outside of that, I mean, what really are you looking for? What do you think? What do you think is going to come back on that? Right. That's the first thing. Second thing is, what about the rifles and the guns that are being built right now outside of buying them in the stores, right? What about those? What are you going to do about that? There's absolutely nothing that you can do about those, right? So ultimately, you still got to look at all the other breakdowns, all the other problems. Gun laws do not change anything. Gun laws affect law-abiding citizens who want to own guns.
Make it harder.
Make it harder for those people that really want to. What person knows that they can't buy a gun? Go to the gun store and say, I want to get that AR back there. Nobody. If I know I can't get it from the store, guess what I'm gonna do? Get it from the street. We'll call Rollo, say, hey. Simple.
Maybe it should go down to is safety, like gun safety. I think that in the African American community, my family should have stopped. So I grew up around guns. I grew up learning how to handle a gun, knowing that a gun is dangerous, knowing that you don't point. Like I do certain things. I think that we don't do that with our kids. I think that if that was taught to people at a young age to respect it, I think that we would have less of this foolishness we have going on around here.
I think we catching on, and I think that's a part of the reason why they want to have stricter gun laws. That's my opinion, because black people have caught on to a lot of things that white Americans have been doing for years. You know, a lot of people that are training their children to shoot, to understand guns, how to do different things with guns. See, here's the thing. I agree with like G said. Let's go to knuckles, right? But here's the reality. That's a fantasy world, because that guy that has millions of dollars is not hardly interested in rolling around the ground with somebody if he say something to them that they don't like, right? He's gonna say, okay, well, we'll give you a big ass 5, not fingers either. You know what I mean? So, that's how it's gonna go. So they're not gonna do that. So we gotta deal with what we have. Right now we have guns. How can we coexist with weapons? And let's be clear about something. Guns don't have legs, guns don't shoot by themselves. People have to do these things. It has something to do with the mindset of the people. I keep going back to what the brother said. There's something wrong with humanity. There is something wrong with us that is making these things happen. And it's not by accident at all. Paint a picture for you. I'm assuming, I'm not going to talk about the ages. I'll just say this. People bringing guns to school is nothing new. It's really old, right? Bullying is nothing new. It's really old. How come now, all of a sudden, people that's getting bullied, talked about, mistreated in these schools and whatever, even grown men, middle-aged men are killing people because somebody says something about your mother or says something about your shoes or your shirt or your clothes. When did that become a grounds to take somebody's life?
When everybody became a snowflake.
Yeah, I was gonna say everybody got soft.
So how did it happen?
Everybody can't handle that, taking that ass with them. Can't walk through the playground.
But then we gotta also realize that time is different. When we were getting bullied back in the day, it looked different. Yes. Bullying nowadays looks different.
It's a smaller audience.
It was real small. It's like you had just the people in the school. If you was getting picked on, only people that knew that you was a punk ass was the ones in the school. Right. Now you a punk ass. Everybody on the web know. People all the way in London know you a punk ass because your punk ass just went viral. And that shit fucks with people because this world don't give a fuck about you. And that's just facts. So you got kids that's growing up with no direction, no support, no nothing, and all they can lean on is social media. And a lot of these parents don't police social media. A lot of these kids are not mature enough to handle it, and they're out here getting judged in a capacity because you're too busy not being a parent and making sure that your kid is doing something productive, like go outside and play with your friends. No, everybody got Twitter fingers. Everybody worrying about who following who liking what. You got the kids that are sitting here and thinking what defines them as a person, as a celebrity. We had A-list to D-list celebrities. Now it's if you got a blue check, you an influencer. Mm-hmm. So if I'm a young man, I'm a little boy, and I'm growing up, I don't have a father in the home. I go and look online, and all I'm seeing is boys dressing up. As girls, they getting likes, they getting follows. Because when I'm reading my book, or I'm playing with my football, or I'm just doing some regular chill shit, you corny, you fake, you whack, you know? But then if you sit there and put this kid, okay, he do something ridiculous like the crate challenge and break his neck, he getting followers. Or you put the kid in a dress and he throwing or a wig on him and he mocking in a female tone, everybody on it. And I'm not saying nothing, so don't nobody take this personal. It's the influence that social media is having on these children, and it's developing a lot of insecurities. It's developing a lot of mental health and weaknesses because nobody's really sitting down with their fucking kids no more.
Well, you can't
Well,
turn it off.
You can't. It doesn't go anywhere. We had to think about how much we avoided the news. I hated the news as a kid. When I would walk in and my parents, I didn't want to hear that it was depressing. Think about all of the exposure these kids every day.
They had 24/7.
I didn't find out about the war. My son told me about what was going on. Like they had, because they're more glued in than what we are at our age. So they are exposed to a lot more than what we are and what we even know. Because we even think we know our kids and we still don't have a clue.
When you're tuned into the Cooley, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There was a guy that said, I'm going to let you go on one second. There was a guy that there was a guy was talking about social media. One of the things he said was, what is the effects of too much information? Remember one time you could be wrong? Like is there such thing as being wrong anymore?
No.
Like, no, because even when I'm wrong, everybody gonna be right about being wrong.
So we're seeing the effects of too much information. We're seeing information overload. We gotta also take into consideration of the leadership that we have. I said this before, say it again. Ever since the Clinton administration, you have seen everything go downhill. Everything looks like WWF when it comes to politics on down. And as time goes on, when you start to see that level of disrespect on that level, what do you expect to happen in these schools? What do you expect to happen in the streets with each other? Listen to how these young guys talk to each other. Listen to the music. The music is not even, there's nothing sexy about the music no more. Music is horrible. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about these young men, these young ladies. I'm not going to put a label on it. Whether it's mental illness or not, somebody has to do something. You got to talk to your kids. Yes, social media is there. We got to coexist. We got to figure out a way to raise these children. And I'm not.
Change the narrative.
And I'm gonna tell you, I don't even get these dads no more. I don't know the difference. I don't
Some of my
even
kids
get dads no more.
that beat dads and work on the time.
You are tuned into the Cooley and the Gang Show. Final episode.
That was transparency. I understand.
Everybody that's here, if you haven't already, have you all had any sugar cane yet? It's very good. Don't you say it. Don't you do it.
Get it, y'all. Get it. Go ahead, get it.
Also,
Is it still open for me?
Brother Nash makes some good food. What was it again? What did y'all eat again?
The Harry Tubman.
What was it?
It's the Thurgood Marshall tuna melt.
The Thurgood Marshall tuna melt.
And Maryland wrap.
In the Maryland wrap. This is all plant-based. But I guarantee you, if you don't like it, I'll pay for it.
Brother Nance, we got some orders.
Can I place an order on air?
We need a couple of sugar canes.
Yeah, a couple of them things.
All right, we're gonna let that alone and
Pivot. Let me say
yeah, we're gonna pivot.
Something we like.
So
Funny.
I saw this shit the other
You
day.
got something that's gonna make G and Professor fight?
No.
They might agree on
If
this.
we want to go to a fight, go back to that old clip where we had to unplug.
Oh Lord.
In the middle of the show, we was pulling cords
We
out.
just need one big G. Fuck you or fuck that.
I already changed the narrative on that.
You know what?
We do not need.
All right, so I saw this. So it says, man surprises his girlfriend by putting her name on the deed to his house, his properties, and granting access to his benefits before proposing.
Is that a caucus? One of those caucus?
That's
a color?
I'm sorry.
That's a color.
That gave me.
That's our folks.
Hell no.
He love that woman.
Is she Caucasian?
No,
No,
no, it's a sister.
Oh, it is.
Hell no.
He love that woman.
I don't know.
This ain't real. That's for TV.
Y'all can't hear it.
So what if she said no?
Right, that's what I was saying.
No, you should say no.
Nigga, the shit already signed. Nigga, no, fuck you.
And she's on his life insurance.
Run me them calls.
Already.
Don't put your phone down.
But you ain't want her to go there.
So
Ariel's been keeping them in check for real.
Yeah. They say be careful what you act for. I did it to myself. So what do you think? Like, is this too much, too far, too soon, too early, too fucking late?
As a woman, it's such a sweet gesture, but that's too like the
So
name.
as a woman,
I'ma
you're
take the
saying
shit.
you would have.
I'm gonna take the shit, but
There you go.
yeah, but
I'm
I'm gonna take the shit. You offered it, but I mean, coming from the other side before you ask, well, that's a lot.
Right.
Aside from like, how long they been together? They've been together for like.
That's what I was about to ask.
They already married.
They common law.
It ain't no how long it's been married. I mean, how long they've been talking together. Like it's like 20 years. You have to be talking for 20 years in order for this type of shit to go down. This is
elementary
what
school.
all-
They've been
No,
together
this is
for
20.
And some kids.
It has to be 20 kids.
With some kids, meaning as I want to make sure them kids protected.
Yeah,
Because I might not care about your ass, but I at least wanted you to take care of my kids.
We talking like 10 years and.
Nah, you got the Golden Dragon on Monday.
The Golden Dragon.
You gotta be, it would have to be like 20 years of us being boyfriend and girlfriend.
Not 20 years of boyfriend. First and foremost, who gonna be somebody's boyfriend and girlfriend for 20 years? I'm gone. I've been gone. Hell
This
no.
man is offering up for some average vagina.
Not average. Basic bitch. You ain't not no basic.
Man.
He's a man.
Average vagina. Average vagina. Wait a minute. Here we are giving up all the keys to the security codes and access. I done gave you a liver, half of a heart, the car, my pension, my ex-wife's pension. I done gave up all of this, and you haven't even said yes yet.
That's what
When you marry me, I done gave you everything. Will you marry me? And you've already got it. Like you don't even have to say no, and it's already yours.
So then
why do you say then why say yes?
Giving this shit yet.
Right. So then why say yes? If you're gonna give me
I got
everything,
everything.
why say yes?
So that's what I'm saying. This had to have been 20s. I done. You've been
You
boyfriend
pay
together
me.
for 20 years, and I probably owe you something. I probably had a kid on you, like back in high school or something like that. Now I feel like, yeah, I should probably have to give you something.
Ain't
That's
nobody
the
getting
only
my
way.
picture.
But we had Golden Dragon 2 years ago, and here it is now. You get a liver, half of the kids. You get to claim the kids on your taxes every other year. You get my 401k. I calling me, asking me why the fuck did I do it? Yeah.
Hold on. But that's crazy. We got a question in the room for you, Brother Ike. It says, Brother Ike, what's the implications on her credit if all this shit goes left?
If she signed on it, she's legally responsible.
Oh.
Here's the thing that
for one, this is one of the shits that irritates me. I think everybody just said about fucking social media. Everybody putting their financial business online. Stop. Like that shit irritates me. But then I laugh at the same time. And people will post like, oh yeah, my 401k, I lost $2,000. That means your account was only like 20 grand. Stop. That right there, that's a social media. Like, and it's not gonna hold up in court because the court's gonna look at it and say, oh, you signed this, what's her actual role? Sorry, and this, like I said with the gun law, it's gonna be, is this your wife? No. So basically, she just got played too, because that's a show for social media. Because if I'm a judge, especially in Maryland, gonna look at that and say, oh, well, this isn't your wife, so this is null and void. This contract is null and void. It doesn't matter on it. Life insurance is different because all of us can take life insurance as long as we got an insurable interest on each other. That's up to the insurance company. So other than that, I mean,
so if you put her name on the deed, her name is on the deed of the house.
Right.
If something happens to him,
it don't matter.
And it goes to probate, and he got a son. His son could say, "Fuck her.
Right.
That's my house."
Right. Even though her name is on the deed.
Don't matter. In probate court, and estate planning, they can literally say, in the state of Maryland, they look at the next of kin first. So that's why, even in a will, that's like married husband and wife. Like somebody, the first kid could be like, you know
shit don't mean shit.
Right. I took care of my dad for 10, 15 years. Right. She came along for 3 years. She took him for everything. The court is going to be like, well,
you're the next kid.
Nice to meet you, young lady. I don't care that you cook him dinner every night. House kids. Wow. That's how I go.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. It's game. That's a whole.
So you about to run in G on somebody? You about to run in G on somebody?
No, it's a whole. It's literally like, oh, okay, I'm doing this for social media, and it's just so I can act like I got it. Yeah, if she signed up for like anybody in here co-sign for each other on a car payment, let them miss one car payment. That's going on your credit too.
Right.
Like people don't realize that. Like that's why when people say co-signing for your kid, nope. What I'm about to say, G. Fuck your kid.
Well, there you have it from the financial guru right there.
There you go. Amen. Don't be boo-boo.
Oh, your name on here too. We coming to get you.
Amen.
We should have did it, just dated it after the whenever they plan on getting married. Put that joint 6 months in advance, and if you want to, do your social media thing, do your social media thing. But the date on those documents, put it like a year later,
after
y'all actually get married.
She said, I didn't get those notarized yet, though. You heard her?
That's what she said.
They're not even notarized yet.
So it's right.
Go ahead.
I got a question for the ladies. If a motherfucker did that to y'all, are y'all with it? Yes or no?
That's the same.
I'm glad you got all that stuff to do. So yes, I'm with it. I'm impressed.
So I'm gonna take what I can handle. What I can handle on my own without him, I will take, because you're not leaving all this debt with me. You're not saying I'm not.
So it's the life insurance.
Yes.
If you're gonna take anything, definitely take the life insurance.
Right, exactly. And it goes back to G also how long we've been together, because now we've been together for fucking 20 years. 9 times out of 10, all this shit you accrued, I was standing there the whole time, and I helped you probably get some of the shit already. And I'm already helping you pay for some of this shit, like the mortgage.
So how would that work in states that recognize common law?
Common law states like Cali, if you have been sharing some type of financial aspect of it, and you've been living in that state, they recognize you as a marriage. They literally gonna be saying it's gonna be split both ways. You're gonna get it regardless. So even if he didn't do that signing the contract, that's why I laugh at people that be like, oh, I live in a common law state, I'm good. I'm like, yo, I had that shit married. Sorry.
Right.
So it don't matter. You're gonna get it
recognized.
All right, then there you have it. But yeah, so what we found out, this was a social media play. Everybody wants to be social media famous, right?
It's working for a lot of people too.
He knew what he was doing, though.
Well, so end of the day, I believe everybody agrees. Too soon, too fast. Well, no, not everybody.
He's just doing it for show.
Looks good, smells good. Make it work, make it work. Shannon, take it. I can tell everybody from New Jersey said just take it.
Take it. Everybody from New Jersey did not say
Except for you. Except for you. Thank you. You're not really from Jersey. I know you're from somewhere else.
Don't do that. We from Jersey. We from the cradle to the grave.
Shannon, I'm about to go back and redo my paperwork out here in your shit. We got to reduce your contracts. All right, so fellas, this is for you. Bishop T.D. Jakes. Bishop's left too. All right, let's see what Bishop Jakes said.
Why?
I want to know, are you safe to love? I want to know, can I trust you with love? I want to know if I tell you my secrets, will you respect me in the morning? Am I the only man in here? Where are my brothers at? I want to know, if I tell you what it was really like to grow up in my house, will you not act funny when we go to the family reunion? Or will you sit up there with your lips all swollen and create problems for me because you can't control your emotions? And I want to know that if I tell you what really happened in the house, will you, in a fit of anger, turn on me and use what I told you in a moment of weakness against me? Because if you do that, you're telling me that I cannot trust you. And you teach me to shut up. And the time you betray my trust, you seal in me another layer of silence. And when I scream, I die screaming, and you can't hear me, and you never know why I died because you taught me not to talk to you when you use my talk against me. Emotions. You say we have no emotions. You haven't got a clue. We got emotions you never even saw. We got screams you haven't heard. We got poetry that's never been written. We've got love shut up in our minds and in our guts, our bowels, our loins that never reaches you. Because you cannot hear. Because you cannot hear the language we speak.
Sign language?
Love language.
Sign language?
Love language.
No, he said he had a lot of good points. He did. I'm hungry for that.
TD fakes, man.
So you don't agree with him of men's mental health and women hearing and
I mean, no, what he was saying, I mean, I'm going to say probably off this type of spectrum, but I don't really, and I'm not trying to make it a religious thing, but to me, him and a lot of these mega churches, they have catered sermons. They're not even going to talk about everything in the Bible. I've taken the time to read certain things, and they're going to talk about certain things that's cool for the world, but not too deep on certain things that we may have questions about in the Bible or reality of life. So to me, I feel like if you're going to be a pastor, talk about everything. Open your mind about everything. I mean, you're supposed to, man of God, so you just play that role fully. Like, you cater certain things. If you ask him certain questions, he'll circumvent them around the TV. Not to say the real thing. So it's kind of hard for me to take certain mega passes like that serious. That's what I mean.
That's fair.
That's understood.
Now I gotta take my video on. I gotta turn it off.
I want to kind of listen to the first part about how he was saying, like, when as women, like, women tend to kid or throw shit back at you that men express to. I don't think we do it because I'm thinking about me personally, and I know I want the people that go from 0 to 1,000.
Sit your ass next.
Thank y'all. But I do, and I can acknowledge that. So I don't think that in certain situations, talk back that it's in the moment. Like I'm thinking about, oh, let me save that for that day. But right now I'm pissed off. And so my
but you
goal
had
is
to be thinking about, okay, I'm gonna
no,
get this
right now
motherfucker.
I'm in that moment. I'm going through that roller me. I'm going through that roller dance like that, and I'm, bruh. So I can see how it can happen. For him to say I can see how it can hurt, but for you not to trust me, it ain't like I'm throwing it to the world. Like this nigga done said, let me take it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm saying it because I'm intentionally trying to hurt you in a moment because we're having a moment. Right. But to be like, I can't trust you and feel like you can never express anything like that. Because I think, me personally, I know when I hit you. I know. So at the moment when I can finally cool down, I know I'm woman enough to be like, yo, I'm sorry. Like that shit I said.
But how long does it take for the I'm sorry?
I don't know. Well, that wasn't the point. The point was I can say I'm sorry. Like, the point was I can say I'm sorry because I knew I can acknowledge that I was playing unfair. I was playing unfair, and then my intention in that moment was to hurt you, but not to betray your trust.
But you can't have your cake and eat it too in that moment. So what ends up happening, whether you want to or not, you lose the trust. Right. So that may not be your intention, but it's a side effect of the conversation. And the time that it takes for you then to come back and apologize also is a side effect of the conversation. So you want to put this topic on its head. Let's put it on its head. Men have plenty of emotions that society has told them that they cannot show. The safest place that most men have is their home. So the person who traditionally controls the atmosphere of that home is the woman of that home.
Facts.
If a man does not feel safe in a place where he's supposed to feel safe, in an atmosphere that's controlled or sometimes even created by the woman, and she's the one that is hurting his feelings, it's not just the internal or the singularity of the issue. You have now changed the atmosphere from which your home has been created in. Now, some men can take it. Some men eat it like a bowl of cereal every morning. It ain't nothing to them. But when it's done too many times, most men, and I can't say all, but most men who end up taking it, they have to release it in one way or another. Here's the one thing that I've seen some men do, because a man cannot verbally match up to the woman in his life. He uses the way he can match up, which is his physical abilities. So when a man is in a conversation and he's getting roasted by his woman, it's not only in the conversation that he's being roasted, he's being belittled, his ego's being crushed, all in that same moment. And his way of getting that is not 9 times out of, certain times it's not going to be the same way that a woman is giving it to him. So he's like, I'm bringing a knife to a gun battle in a verbal confrontation, but I got these hands, and she can't do nothing with it. Because as far advanced as she is in a verbal confrontation, I am in a physical one.
That's true. I'm gonna chime in. I was gonna say this. And I try to get too biblical, but when you're talking about the foundation of marriage, right? And in a biblical standpoint, we all got roles that we play. So we gonna be married and we come as one. You throwing malicious shots at me, not showing me as one. You already know what problems I have. I got financial issues. I got this thing I'm trying to work on. Vice versa. I know you got things we got to work on. We're supposed to come together as one to become as a whole. You know what I'm saying? God provides balance for us, period. You know what I'm saying? So when you meet that significant other that's going to be your wife, she's bringing something to the table to help you, vice versa. But if you throwing shots, that's not showing y'all as one. That's not coming together as a unit to make it work. You know what I'm saying?
I had a temper problem. I think that it's
I think that we're not taught to fight fair from childhood, right? Like women and men are, let's call this thing, we're raised different. You know what I mean? We are women. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to do this.
Yep.
You know, depending on what kind of household you grew up in, if your parent is liberal or conservative, for me, I was able to voice my feelings. It didn't matter because I lived in a dictatorship, but she gave me the opportunity to say, I don't think this is fair because. And a lot of times we don't know how to fight fair. We didn't see our parents fight fair. So when we get into these relationships, most of the time, not to make it all biblical, we're unequally yoked, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean as far as spiritually. You know, some of us are coming from deficit, whether it's mommy deficit or daddy deficit, everybody has a little bit of a deficit. So where you might come with them jags and he take them, that's not fighting fair. You know what I'm saying? And then so he doesn't feel secure and then being able to say that hurt me, because when was he ever allowed to say that hurt me?
Right.
So, you know, we always as women are looking for our safe place to fall. He's supposed to be strong. He's supposed to be the provider. He's supposed to be the protector. You weren't there for this. Where's his safe space? Where's his ability? Where does he have the ability to take off the mask that we all wear every day? Where does he have that opportunity? So we first have to learn how to fight fair. And two, we have to create those spaces in our relationships where, you know, if it's on Tuesday, we sit down, no holds barred. Or if I'm feeling some type of way, I'm writing down how I feel, so I'm not attacking you. Because we fight and attack. We don't fight to explain. Or because if you're explaining yourself, it's no fight. This is how I feel, and I'm attacking my feelings.
So how do you handle situations where you do provide those spaces, but like you said, they've never been taught to open up and everything like that? So then you creating that space and they still don't know how to break that because that's just what they're accustomed to.
I know a lot of us aren't like don't jump on this train, but I think everybody needs therapy. We have so much.
Hey, come on with it.
We have so much. Let me just tell you something. Like, I think that we all need therapy because we can't possibly give ourselves to somebody if we can't give ourselves to ourselves. So that's one of the things that we all should be doing. You know?
I'm gonna go with it with just it's all learned behavior.
Absolutely.
As boys, we are grown up not to be emotional. We're grown up to be tough, hold it in. We go through shit, and then when we do let it out, it's like a fucking explosion. You know what I mean? And we don't know where it came from. So even with your wife, your woman that's throwing malicious shots, it's gonna build up to a level where he's gonna go off. But he's not taught, taught to talk about it, express it, see what's going on. It's like, fuck it, let me go hard. I know my dad is like the most machoest man in the world, and I couldn't even talk to him about when I wanted to talk about sex, because he looked at me like, you don't know about getting pussy yet? And I'm looking like, I'm 13, like, Dad, I'm having these urges and I can't control myself. He's like, boy, you don't know I'm a pussy. You get the fuck out of here. But it comes from him not having the fault growing up. So when he comes with this, macho type, bravado type of characteristic, where I'm like, okay, now I got to figure it out on my own. You know what I'm saying? So all of it's learned behavior, but we just definitely need to balance our boys that they can be emotional and can express themselves.
But I just want to say this. I don't necessarily think that it's just boys. I think that it's women too. And the only reason why I can say that is mainly because you good. I'm saying that mainly for myself. I was raised by a man. So the same way that a man would probably raise a young son, I was raised up like a boy. I was raised up with a hard exterior. My father didn't do the crying thing. And it's not nothing against him. He's a man trying to raise a young girl. So he didn't really understand that emotional side because guess what? He's a man and he didn't come up with that. So how could he really give me that skill of vulnerability and to, allow certain things? My father made me do everything on my own. He was like, oh no, you're going to learn how to do this. Oh no, you're going to learn how to do that. So it's no knock even to a guy. It's just, hey, this is what I've been accustomed to. And to her point, and even to yours, Tay, it's really what you see, how you're brought up, and what you learned in that time.
What I was also going to chime in, because I said it in the room, emotional intelligence. That is something that a lot of our community is not too aware of. It's just gaining ground. Emotional intelligence is basically you took the time out to get to know you. So if you know that you don't want jabs, You're not going to send jabs back. You can speak your emotions because you took the time out to sit down and get to know you. And I got to say this because I feel this in my spirit. A lot of our community need to sit the fuck down and get to know each other. Know yourself. Go within yourself. I'm so sick and tired of people reflecting and looking at what you did this to me. My mama did this. Your mama's gone. Your daddy ain't there. You need to work on you. I speak that from transparency. So we got to work on emotional intelligence. Sit down, like she stated. Everyone needs to learn, why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel attacked? Why do I feel sad? Why do I feel like you're not listening to me? It goes back into your past. So you got to sit down with yourself. And that's a scary thing that most of our community cannot do. They do not want to sit down because they're scared of what the hell they're going to find. And baby boy, baby girl, get with it. That's all I got to say.
Most people don't want to be honest with themselves to get to that.
It's scary because it's hard to have to actually confront the stuff that you packed up. Because we don't realize, to Linnea's point, and yes, ma'am, we all, I think, do need counseling.
Yes.
When we came up, there's stuff, trauma that we might have gone through as a kid that we didn't know how to handle.
Right.
So what did we do? Pack that shit up. And when you start getting older, that stuff starts to resurface. And it manifests sometimes in your relationships, how you deal with people. Like, I didn't know why I maneuvered the way that I did with certain people until I actually said, yeah, I don't have no problem. I have to have a therapist. I think that it's necessary because you have people around you that you talk to that are biased, that'll give you unsolicited advice or tell you what you want to hear and not what you really need to know.
Right.
And it's like everybody is struggling with something in their lives, whether it's current or it's from the past, that we bring into our relationships, how we communicate with people, how we communicate on jobs, how defensive we get. A lot of us, even as kids, you don't realize just growing up in the city. That's a trauma right there. Our young black men are growing up and all they're seeing is how they're getting killed. They're dealing with that every single day. That is mentally draining these kids. So I think everybody needs help. Everybody. And should talk about whatever it is and stop being afraid of what you may discover, because sometimes even in your fear and in your discovery, it can help you learn something about yourself for you to be better. And even sometimes have a testimony for somebody else to get help.
Right.
So basically, what I'm hearing is every woman in here saying, "I'm sorry" to every guy in here. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Don't ruin it.
You always try to go full reach.
Go ahead, man.
Dealing with everything on social media. They call it either the boss chick or the red pill movement. People are stuck in these echo chambers. So when May was talking about all right, or he was talking about,
It's okay. It's coming.
I do it all the time, brother.
Basically, what I'm saying is when how we sit down with ourselves, it's hard to sit down with ourselves because we get stuck in echo chambers with people that constantly tell us what we like to hear. So there's two sides of the internet, and it's a loud minority. Because it's like the majority of people don't think like this. So you got people on this side saying, this is how you break your nigga down. You gotta break him down mentally. You gotta break him down emotionally. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. And then you got people on this side of the internet saying, all right, this is how you break a chick down.
Let's talk about it. Well, he hit on something now. Let me gas up.
The fact of the matter is that you get people that get stuck in both sides of the internet. And nobody actually comes to the middle and says, all right, how can I solve this? Or what's the problem? What is the why? You got to identify the why before you can, you got to find out why something is broken before you can fix it. So,
I just got a question of why we want to break it to the back.
But that's why that's crazy.
That's what it is.
But I actually I had somebody say to me that the goal is to break a baddie down so she feels like she this small, so that she needs you.
Right.
So exactly. So I'm not in business to manage insecurities. But you want to sit here and diminish and demeanor me because you ain't on my level.
Right.
When we're supposed to be a team. And when we a team, if I'm up we up. And guess what? And we're gonna get higher and higher by working together, not working against each other. The problem is everybody on offense and defense, and that is fucked up. When you actually are on the same team and y'all should be playing together, and Vance is absolutely right. I've seen that, and I was just like, really, guys, really out here saying that?
Yes.
I'm like, wow. So then why get with a chick? If you need Barnes and Nobles, go holler at Barnes and Nobles, but don't be hollering at the executive over here when that's out your league, Playboy. Like, shop in the store that you got with your budget. Shop your budget. That's all I'm saying.
So to add on to that, it's like the game, the whole game got messed up. You know, somewhere along the line, it got messed up to where it's like we can't just come together and just be. You know, it's always got to be somebody's got to have advantage for the other person.
Because everybody trying to get over.
It's a
Somebody has to win an argument.
But why are
and
you in
it's going
competition
to
with the
be
person
me.
that you love? If I love you, why am I in competition with you?
It ain't a competition.
Why?
Because I won.
Don't see this point.
Case
in point.
MJ Rick said he can answer.
I can answer your question.
Come on.
The reason why
That was Mike's fault.
at the end of the day, is one word: control.
Control.
If I win this argument, I have control. If I break you down, I have control.
Everybody loves a winner.
Wait a minute.
But on both sides of the coin, and I'm not talking male
Thank
and
you.
female because
Thank
both sides do it. It is about how can I control the
narrative,
whatever, not just the narrative, but whatever that person may have, whatever that person may do, that other person, male or female, that person's words, their story, their narrative. If I can control that, then I have power. We are in a community, in a country where power is placed on a pedestal. Power has been linked to control. That's not just in your relationship.
Can't you be more powerful together? And that's the problem.
Well, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Yes, you can, but you're talking about these United States where the individualistic thought process has then been linked to the power structure of this country. So we're bred to believe that power comes from controlling people, money, influence, etc., which is the reason why people look for those blue checks. Power, and not necessarily thinking about power from a communal base, because together we are stronger. But we don't think about that because we've been conditioned to individualize our achievements and, in essence, look for ourselves to be more than somebody else. And as long as we can have power, we have control.
So what about,
if I
hold
can
up.
control you, I can get you to do whatever it is.
Because I think y'all have totally taken
But strip
my
somebody's
video.
self-esteem
And
down.
first of all, it was about a brother getting a little ease. And now, of course, ladies, y'all always got to get in it. But somehow, some way, okay, let's talk about y'all now. That's what we're talking about. That's exactly what we're talking about. Don't leave me on this island alone. That's what we're fucking talking about. We talking about how we need, and fellas, care for me, listen to me, and what we do. Well,
that's what I
it
was
goes
saying.
both
I'm
ways.
restricting violence.
Fuck both ways. We ain't talking about both ways. We talking about us.
Let me get back in this again. But y'all gotta be willing to communicate. Let's just keep it a buck.
We
No.
It's about us.
No, I'm saying.
I'm
But
hurt.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm
But how do I know that if it's not communicated?
Because you need to learn how to understand me. I don't communicate.
So then, if I tell you to go and take your ass to a therapist, since you can't communicate that to me, so then what the hell am I supposed to do? If I don't know that there's a problem, how can I
can't talk to you. I can't
If
talk to
don't
you
talk
on
and
my
you don't
time.
open up your mouth and say,
Give
"Hey,
me
I'm struggling."
time.
How am I supposed to know?
Don't personalize it. Don't personalize it. This is a general
We
conversation.
will personalize this shit because you done said some shit on this show that I'm gonna bring back to your ass.
Here we go.
You just said no meat. You the same one that tells on the flip side, I can't read a book. Like I wasn't supposed to read a book. We supposed to
I
do
didn't say that.
Yeah, you did say that. So why does it not work on the flip side? If something's going on with you, how will your partner no longer personalizing it?
Come on,
Your
with it,
partner.
supposed to know
Come on, Glenn
if you
Shea.
do not discuss that and have.
Can I be honest?
Come on.
Can I be 100% honest?
Come on, talk about it.
We
got time.
Right.
Let's go. We gonna go out. We gonna go out with a bang.
Be careful.
You can't right.
Just know we gonna go out with a bang.
If you make the right move,
No.
He got conditioned.
I'm near my mama house. So I'm good. Okay.
We gonna go out with a bang. Come on, let's go.
If I apologize. But that's just a line to give me more time to figure out what the fuck I want to say next. I know you mad. I may just not feel like dealing with this shit right now because I'm mad too.
It's not about me. This is about you. How do I know that you mad?
Because you've been with me a long time. You know when it ain't right.
That's no. You can't say that because y'all get mad when somebody's talking. Y'all don't want to guess us. Don't do that.
If we're gonna personalize like you know him.
He's struggling.
I know you.
If he gonna make a point, it ain't
I know
gonna
you.
make it.
I know how to read.
But any woman knows them, like just like you know me.
Okay, so then
know
just like a
who you
man
with.
should know his woman when she upset, but he don't want to sit there. He
We
like,
do
I don't
know.
want to play guessing games.
But we don't
you
know
need to
how.
tell
We
me
don't
what's wrong
always
with
know
you. So
how
I'm
to
supposed to know you
deal.
mad.
We don't know how
Boy,
to
bye.
deal with it or make you feel bad.
No, you won't. Not today.
That's what it is. It's not. We know you mad. Yeah, like what the fuck?
Right, but then if I don't,
We know.
but if you ask me what's wrong, and then I don't tell you, then it's a
Both of
whole
y'all yelling at
problem.
me right now. See what I'm talking about? I'm hurt. I'm in pain. Vance, help me, brother.
I'm trying to figure this out. I just don't understand the double standard.
It's not. It has to be somewhere.
What do you mean
There's
it has to
always
be?
a double standard somewhere.
No, it does not.
It
Everybody needs to
I don't
communicate.
treat my daughter the same way I treat my son.
That's a problem.
No, it's not.
I opened the door for Rich. Rich is walking in. I left the door open.
it doesn't have to be a double standard. As long as in your relationship, you all have created an atmosphere of communication. It does not have to be. Oftentimes, in getting back to the clip, getting back to the clip.
Bring it back, brother. Come on in, Jay. Bring it in.
He was talking, TV Jakes was talking about men not having a space to communicate because in that clip he mentioned that the lady in that relationship has thrown his vulnerabilities back in his face.
Mm-hmm.
If that is the case, we talk about the clip. If that is the case, you're not going to a man is not going to feel comfortable being able to say his feelings if he believes that in a later conversation, in a disagreement, or in any other situation, that information that he is being vulnerable about will be thrown back into his face. So if that is the case in that relationship, you now have to re-examine your entire communication plan, and somebody's going to have to give more of themselves in order to bring this thing back to balance. Okay.
The hood chicks will let you know because they'll tell you how you supposed to protect me. You're emotional and shit.
Okay, but so what I said, all right, so wait a minute, real quick, to address actually what happened since you went into your whole little moment. What actually happened was I said to this beautiful young lady over here after that was made. So just so we know, and I said, well, what if you do create that safe space for that man? What if you do try to do this? What if you have said, hey, I'm a person on health checks. I don't wait till shit blowing up in my situations and start talking to them because that's when you loaded. You're not thinking about the person that's sitting in front of you. You got your gun loaded and you ready to shoot back the moment they hurt your feelings. That's a natural reaction. I health check in my relationship. Hey, every 2 weeks we got our check-in time. Let's talk about it. If I did something I got on your nerves, let's talk about it so we can. I'm a proactive person. You in my business. So
You said it.
Is she single?
No,
Is she single? Is she single?
I'm gonna talk about. So I'm over here. So I just said that's how I operate. So let's just move back. So that's what I was saying. It wasn't about me making it all about. I'm speaking of experience. If you create that and they don't take that opportunity to sit down and talk to you because they're so set in their ways that it's hard for them to come out of their childhood trauma or feeling safe because maybe they did open up in their past relationships and the chick did that. So it doesn't really matter if it's just childhood trauma. It can be relationship trauma
Of
that
course.
makes people close
I think
doors.
it's mostly
So that's to
relationship
your
trauma.
point. It wasn't shifted. It wasn't shifted. It was facts.
I think that I've been thinking about it since you asked me. I think that when you enter into a relationship, you have to build that trust, right?
Right.
So one key thing that I learned about trust is consistency. If I'm consistently asking you, you good? You good? How was your day? Like, and not making it about me, because I think we live in a narcissistic society at this point where everybody always wants to unload their day, how they're feeling, what's going on in their lives, that they don't give the other person an opportunity to breathe, and to like just be free enough to say whatever, right?
Or say, babe, every time you take, I would like when you taking a shit after you done, spray a little something, open the window up, because I'm tired of coming in, I'm trying to do my makeup and it smell like ass. Talk about it. Versus when y'all get versus when y'all are in an argument, you like, you know what, your funky ass always fucking up the bathroom. You know, it's a different conversation.
Or bi-weekly or whatever check-in. We talk about it.
We behind a bar, bro.
Yeah, you gotta have them try them check-ins work. It does.
Instead of saying,
thank you.
Are you okay? Because people don't respond to that. Everybody has an automatic answer. Yeah, I'm okay. It's what's good. My sister and I started doing that. What's good? Not in a what's good. Like,
because also sometimes people don't even know how to tell you that they're struggling or they're having a challenge. So that right there, that cadence establishes those safe spaces. It creates those safe spaces for somebody to feel like I can be vulnerable enough to you. I can open up to somebody because maybe I'm not comfortable going to a therapist. So that's why I think it's important. I do that in my friendships. Like if I know I don't have to talk to my girlfriends every day, but if I fuck with you like that, I want you to at least know somebody's checking in on you because you don't know somebody's what they going through.
That's
so we
true.
just assume.
I'm a
like we don't talk about. We don't talk about that in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like when you're talking to somebody, when you first meet somebody, and y'all are even know each other for the first 1-2 days, like you need to set the standard early. We don't need that. We are very reactionary in this generation. So like when we're going out, if I'm dating, it's like when you're talking about how many kids you want, how you want to raise your kids, and what kind of money you want to make, and what your goals are, you need to also talk about what I expect out of a relationship. I expect to be able to talk to you. I expect you to be my software for. I expect that when you're having a difficulty that we're going to be adults to communicate that, because I don't do all that yelling and screaming. And those are conversations that we need to have early on.
But a lot of people don't take a lot of people aren't proactive, they're more reactive. They rather instead of putting fire alarms around the house or not leaving the candle lit and walking out the house, they'd rather wait till the house is burning down and then trying to look for a fire extinguisher. And you have to think about all of those things as in your relationship, as you would want to protect that. It's the same thing. Like, how can we be proactive and how can we work together? But that's communication. That's sitting down and sometimes having those uncomfortable conversations about even situations.
And that's
all right, we're going to, it's the last one, y'all.
My bad. You know, we have a problem with, I think somebody had touched on it earlier where it was like, no, you're supposed to understand how I feel. You know, and it's like we need to get out of that Americanized mindset. And what I mean by Americanized is like you will go to any other country and expect them to know how to speak English. And you'll be mad that, you know, you go to Russia and they don't know how to, they're like, English. But you know, don't nobody speak English over there.
But you didn't answer it.
I accidentally asked them across the political line. But I mean, if you go to France, all right, you got me, good. So like, if we go to France or we go to Egypt or go to Saudi Arabia, well, they speak English over there. But any other country, you know, we expect them to know English. But the average American doesn't take the time out to learn another language. You know, and it's the same thing with, you know, with relationships, because like somebody else had touched on this earlier. Oh man, we a team. You know, we're supposed to be a team. So if you're my partner, I'm supposed to be able to proactively think and counterbalance to your strengths and weaknesses as you counteract and counterbalance to my strengths and weaknesses. You know, so that's how, you know, right. That's how a partnership works. You know, so
Okay.
Yeah, communication. There you go.
Well, guess what?
Communication is important, Mike.
I'm not
saying.
I'm not even going.
I'm just saying.
You are tuned into the Cool in the Gang show.
You trying to get us off the air already?
You were tuned into the Cool in the Gang show for the very last time. It has been a fun 6-7 years, and this is episode 150. G and I battle about episode numbers like since episode 50. He like, this ain't no motherfucking episode 50. Motherfucker, I got every
Like
episode.
episode 17. I feel like the number just kept going up.
Look, truth be told, if we would have done an episode every week with no breaks, we would be on 288 right now.
Where you get that number from?
I went to school.
No, is that a real number or is it still mass shooting shit? 38.
That was the
That was the number. But you know, with the year and a half break, and then you know, us just taking Fridays here and there off, like you know, we ended at 150. I like 150 though. That's a good number. I can live with 150. I ain't did nothing consistently 100 times in my fucking life.
It's really not 150 though. It's not 150. It's probably 149. And we got one that's deleted.
Screw that. But we still did it.
I'll see y'all Tuesday.
We still did it though. We still did that episode. And the bad part, I searched for that episode the other night and I don't have it anymore. It is
that was
gone.
a classic, yo.
It's definitely gone. It's gone. I searched, it's not on none of my hard drives or nothing. It's gone. I even had a secret clip that I taped of you arguing with said person that I had on my phone for a long time. That shit.
Look at God. All right. How about that?
No witnesses.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. That was the best show. That was the best Cool in the Gang show.
You'll find it in 20 years.
Yeah, somebody got it somewhere. Somebody screen recorded that shit.
The fight.
When you did absolutely not a fucking thing.
The fight.
I'm just talking about that shit.
I didn't intend to do anything to nobody. He said I was talking too loud, so I wasn't.
I'll tell you this though, if it went at your house, you'd probably got the next book. I knew I had to come back next week. I didn't need Shannon.
Some people ain't care about that part.
Yeah, everybody ain't care about that. But it has been I've had fun. I've had a whole lot of fun.
This shit been alright.
Hey, Mike, the orange wall take me back to
the basement. In the living room. In the dining room. The dining room.
Take you back to the dining room.
Yeah, this was fun, and I definitely appreciate everybody that came out. I hope y'all stick around a little bit afterwards, get some more juice, take a shot of the gold bottle.
Yes, definitely.
You've done enough tonight.
Yeah, she been lighting up the room.
I know,
Yes.
but
you asked for it.
I did.
She gave you everything.
I did.
Every lock
I
and
needed
load
that.
you asked
I needed
for.
that. I needed
Her calling.
I definitely think Gia walked in. Gia, do you have any cigars on you?
Ow.
Gia has some cigars. Gia does her own cigars. So if you have anybody to smoke, like Gia rolls a nice cigar. I've had 4 of them. And she does beard balm too. What the hell was it? It was no, I got the balm, yeah. But it was the small what is it? Frankincense, the Frank. That shit.
That shit is where it's at. But speaking of beards, before we go any further.
No.
You already know. It ain't cheap.
I realized that beard ain't as long as it was. Did y'all see that shit when we first came out with the beard? It was like week 2. That motherfucker had a beard. That motherfucker had a perfect Douglas. That motherfucker had a week later, I said, like, I'm like 30 years. He ain't never had no face right here. That shit was.
It was connected.
Yo, I cut this part.
Yeah. That shit went from black to blacker. It was just like that.
Bruh. And the crazy part is I found the show going through the videos of the first time you made an insult about my beard. Like that was I think it was the same night that we interviewed all the peoples. But Turk and Donnell Jones, who doesn't like me. No, that shit really hurts though. Like, no, nigga don't like me. Yo. Like, everybody like me. I think
So every time you hear where you want to be, you like.
I still like him. And that's his first album. I don't give a fuck what he said. That's his first album.
That's the first one I might heard.
Yeah, that's his first album. Did anybody else out here know that Donnell Jones had an album before Where I Want to Be?
Yes.
I did.
Absolutely.
Right. You just mad because everybody didn't say no.
You know what? That's why you my book was I didn't.
Y'all money.
What? I didn't.
I didn't.
I didn't know that. I didn't. In my mind, Where I Want to Be was number one.
What time is the show? What time is the show?
Why you guys want to go?
I'm going for days. Mike got a new microphone. He came in there with these $4 fucking microphones, and Mike had this big ass screen with his shit. Like he was about to sing some song. It wasn't the Temptation. It was Mike and his Temptation. This big dumbass microphone. Microphone did like this, and it went up and down. Our shit was little, talking about speaking to the mic. Fuck that mic.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. First of all, I could only afford $5 mics from Five Below when we first started. So when we got to a place where I'm like, oh, this shit gonna work, I brought myself a fucking new mic. Yes, I did. But
we all had $5 headphones,
Mayberry,
phones and shit.
Mr. Gary, Level 1 Media gave us microphones, a mix board, cords that came with the mics, and all of that. So I definitely want to shout out Mr. Gary.
I don't know what that was. So that was.
So wait a minute. So you mean to tell me you gonna sit here and hand me some roses, right? And then snatch them back and then throw them to the ground.
No, you just pricked your finger on
Yeah,
the
I just
Man,
gave you
remember,
thorn
don't
roses.
do that. The last time, remember, I had to cuss your ass out too. Stop. You're back on your ass. So you gonna sit there, really? And you gonna talk about course? This is that pink bag sitting over here that you made me. Look, if you wanna talk about it, then you say you was gonna reach out to me and let me know what you needed.
I did.
Right. And then I have to text you this morning to follow up.
You did.
Right. So I ain't have enough time to get it, but I got it here though. You just ain't got no course because I ain't but you asked for you from Mike and Stamps.
But I will never.
That's why I regularly
schedule
schedule the program.
I
You know,
will never
you
admit that.
You still got the motherfucker.
right. Thank you, G. You get on my nerves.
You gotta point up like this. So you get me back to the
box.
Yeah,
Pretty much box.
Where I knew how to point at the thing.
Yes.
So I will let you all do your thing because I ain't gonna lie, my ass hurt. Pause. Yeah, because I've been sitting on the edge of this chair. I ain't been sitting
Don't you
back.
scoot that thing up?
I got it because my real mic won't go back that far.
He said we got fake mics.
Yeah,
The shade just.
y'all caught that.
You like throwing shade. You keep trying to be shady.
Final thoughts. I will go last. Professor, you'll go first. Tell me how much of a great time you had, and tell people about what you do, like the talk. Because I called it something different than what you call.
So this definitely was an interesting journey. So when we started, Mike mentioned it to me, and played around with the idea. And just for the record, everybody that's here, it was handpicked. It wasn't just by default. It was it's a good fit. This is a good person to put here. This will happen. For this part, it wasn't by happenstance that we all were in the same room doing our thing. And it was a great mixture. The conversation stayed live. And the fact that everybody had their own opinions is the biggest part. It's cool for us to agree, but I don't think we get anywhere if everybody just sits around and say, yeah, you're right. Move on from there. So that was awesome. And it also, for me, it gave me a starting point and structure in having to do something in the evenings. Because, you get older, things kind of change. Like the whole going out thing kind of plays out. You need something. You need something active to be involved in, some type of hobby or some type of venture to be involved in. just being around and existing is not good enough. It's not productive enough, at least for me. And we have had some interesting guests. We've had some interesting scenarios. Again, like Mike brought up, I definitely was talking about the scenario where he was going to get tossed up at his house. But early in the day, I really was. So that's funny you brought that up. Definitely a good time. So outside of that, the conversation party I had, or conversation event I had at my house. So I do it by seasons. So winter, spring, summer, fall. And it's just an opportunity for people to come around. And we just discuss relationships. We talk about typically black relationships. Because I think that that's where the struggle is. We have a lot of issues with us as people, but ultimately as for relationships, it's a major issue. I see that we don't communicate well. We really don't know each other like we think we do. Men think they know women. Women think they know men. When I more listen to people talk, we don't know each other at all. We have an idea. It was something somebody said a little while ago that I wrote down for my conversation partner. It was an awesome statement. I kind of tweaked it a little bit, but it was a good statement. It was about language. I think it was you. You were talking about languages, right?
Americanized mindset.
Right. So just a little tidbit for y'all. My next conversation party, the statement I have, or the question I have is, have you took the time to study your significant other's language, right? So we all speak different languages, even though we may seem like we're dealing with the same person. We all love each other different. We move different. We want different things from our significant others, and we took the time to really understand what that difference is. So that's kind of like how that event goes. It's a good time. We have drinks, food. I typically don't ask anybody to bring anything. I really feel like in this world, everything costs. You can't do anything to enjoy yourself without having to pay some money out of your pocket. Whether we want to act like it, or whether you're being honest with yourself, everybody ain't good. And if you do have it, you don't have it every week, every day. Sometimes you want to come out and not go in your pocket. So I try to provide everything I can for people. If you need something specific, and obviously you have to bring it yourself. But I have the food, drinks, or whatever, and hopefully, people come by and speak whatever it is that they're feeling and give their opinions. But again, back to the show. Awesome show, man. Mike did a good job, bro. Yes. I mean, I joke. We all joke and laugh, but you did an awesome job. My oldest boy.
There it is.
I was waiting for it.
There it is. Who's next? Final thoughts, and don't necessarily have to be about the show. Just your final thoughts in general.
I thought you was plucking people. Call them rude.
Linnea.
Okay. Since I'm like the new not so new girl anymore. Started off as a Friday thing. I was like, I turned on thanks to alumni from Western, class 98. What's up? Maisha. And I just got sucked in, and it just reminded me of a collective of just like-minded individuals, but yet not so like-minded. So, and I was on time every time.
Thank you. You done now. Thank you.
And when Mike said, since you're actually you're regular, you're one every time we're on, so come on through. So I accepted. No questions asked, and I always thought about a podcast, and I decided to touch on mine. So I consider us a family, one way or another. The crazy cousins that the kids that I'm an 80s, 90s kid. So kids actually we came to people's yards and say, "Can I play with your kid?" So that's how I felt. So I don't see this as a goodbye. I always say it's a see you later, one way or another.
Oh, that shit over.
Again, it's not a goodbye. It's a see you later. We're gonna come back.
Call me on Tuesday because this shit over.
Okay. But I also see it as being that I'm the spiritual, my brother. I'm just gonna say energy never dies. This energy will never die. Even if we transcend and we leave physically, our energy never dies. So this show, it served its purpose, and it's gonna evolve, and that's how it should be spiritually set as. That's how we should look at life. We evolve. We don't get anywhere if we stay the same. So this, you got Glam Shan, you got Mayberry, G.
I ain't doing shit.
You are too. Shut up. You are too. Troy. All of us are evolving. The professor. We're all evolving. Even those who commentate, evolving. So we're bouncing off of one another. So I love it. And there's gonna be some more episodes from Black Fatal Hoodoo. So
Whoop, whoop.
yeah. Yes, please.
Matt, final thoughts.
This was a great spot to be.
Yes.
I held the most jobs on this show.
Yeah, you definitely did.
No, Mac started on the board. Mac was pushing the button like clapping and shit.
But guess
sound
what?
effect guys, Mac on the floor.
But guess what?
Yeah,
Matt,
we just sports.
but Matt, it worked when you was doing it. Had to. I'm sorry, I had to. I love you. Love you, bro. I did.
I didn't even know Mayberry. I met you like maybe once before the show, but I didn't know Mayberry. I think I already knew Professor. But just everything clicked. I mean, everything just really clicked, and it was a fun ride. It was a fun ride. Y'all a bunch of intelligent, sick, crazy motherfuckers. And I love y'all, man. I love y'all, and I appreciate you, bro, for letting me be a part of this. You could have left me on the boards. Ain't had no camera time, none of that.
He the only person that got promoted. The only person that got promoted. Oh yeah, well Shannon.
Shannon had to go open the door.
All right, sis, I love you, and y'all gonna hate me right this. Sis was always getting promoted. And I'm gonna leave it there for y'all to figure that out later. So she was, no matter what, she was always getting promoted. It didn't matter. That's wifey. She's supposed to get promoted.
Right.
Sam, you have any final thoughts?
I just want to say thank y'all. Thank each and every last one of y'all for coming together with Mike to help him to bring this to what it was. It's been a long ride, but you all stuck together. I finally made it off the couch. So like Mac, I wasn't one of the initial tribe. It was Babe, Mayberry, G, and Professor. But you guys grew, added, and and we provided what our community needed. Yes. But most importantly, just wanted to, like I said, just say thank y'all to y'all for holding him down on a vision that he had. Because, like, this, as I told him, like, this wasn't so as much for him as it was for everybody else. He has stated that he did not realize just how important this thing was for others. You know what I mean? For him, it was, in the beginning, like, oh, yeah, let's do this. But not realizing how much this affected you all as well. Like, there's some people really big mad at him right now. Like, that this is not going on. But at the same time, they understand that, it has to come to an end. But it's not the last that you will see of the game in some aspect.
Yes, the hell it is.
No, it's not, G. You are on Slick Talk.
My final thought. It's my turn.
Yeah, right. But just thank y'all for making Cooley in the Game everything that it has been. Yes, babe, you did a good job.
Thank you.
We're
We did.
We did.
We definitely did.
We did as a team, and I'm glad that I could help you in any aspect. Cussed out a lot, but that I could be there as your support. There you go.
Mayberry.
I already said thank you, but when I do it, sometimes I get shitted on by G, and then he come for you too. So I'ma just ask my brother to just give me a second. But yeah, I always tell you thank you because I missed music so much, and I paused my stuff, like because you work with somebody that I was working with.
Mhm.
Like I paused my music because it was interfering with me being a mom, and that was a decision that I had to make. And then I'm like, saw an opportunity and I reached out to you. You said, hey, this is what I'm working on behind the scenes. I think you would be a good fit. And you gave me an opportunity to cross over into something at a time when I was real quiet. And I didn't say much or nothing. I was comfortable with being behind the scenes. And you talked to me. And a lot of people don't know what the conversation is that we had. And you encouraged me to get into something that I wasn't in, which was communications. So I get into it. I can't stand you. I get into it, and then now I know who it is. I get into it, and I get the opportunity to sit down with a bunch of guys. And I was put in an uncomfortable situation where I had to find my voice. I had to stand up for myself. I had to speak up for the ladies. I had to check and correct sometimes in very uncomfortable situations and scenarios. But you pushed me in a way that I have to say thank you to you for that, because you could have given it to anybody else, but you heard me say I was interested and I wanted to get back in music, and you was just like, I got you. I think you'll work on this. So yes, everybody was handpicked, but it was a handpicked conversation that you put me in a position. So thank you. And even when we shut down the first time, not shady, but even in that first time, if it wasn't for the fact of me even being here, I wouldn't have had the skill to even be able to go on to another show. That created another opportunity for me somewhere else, where I was able to be a creative director behind the scenes for music videos and everything else, because you put me in a space that was different than what I was used to, but it was still feeling like home. Then now we able to come to an end now, and I'm given an opportunity to host my own radio show. So I don't give a fuck what nobody say, because you didn't have to give me a chance at all. I'm going to always respect you in that capacity. I'm going to always give you your flowers, and I'm always going to recognize you, because there's a lot of people that wouldn't do it. And I know G over here inching to say a whole lot of shit, but I'm going to say thank you. And no matter what you do moving forward, I got your back as you've always had mine. So thank you.
I appreciate it.
You got anything? What's your final word? You gotta give us.
You gotta give us something, Mike.
You gotta give us something.
I was actually gonna call Ike before you.
Well, one of my things was, I'm glad you came after you reached out to me, like, and I'm big on the respect thing, where you like, bro, I know you're busy, but could you do this? And I was just like, yo, I hadn't been saying stuff on Facebook about finances because people don't listen. But I got a lot of people inbox me just for coming on the show, which I never told you more. I ain't making no money off of it. But it was just people asking questions, and one of my things about being in finance has always been, and quite frankly, I'm glad this is the last show because this will get you canceled, is that it's always been fuck these money. Okay? Because they don't care about the financial freedom of our people. And for me, it's always been, if I gotta be the one to sacrifice 8 to 10 hours a day to fucking study and learn this shit, to tell people, yo, don't take your 401k and take that goddamn check, because you're gonna get hit with 20%. And them saying, oh, they ain't tell me that, because they not.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. And I say that because I'm dealing with a battle with them now. I'm winning, but it's a battle. So, yo, it sucks that it's shutting down, but I know everybody on the panel is going to do their own thing. It's going to continue to grow. Anybody listening or anybody here, you can always inbox me if you got financial questions. I got your back. And then even one last final thought, this is just something for the audience, and this is just something for all this shit we got going on. Hate to put fear in your heart, but yo, this summer, enjoy yourself. But come fucking September 1st, lock it down. Start saving, save y'all money, budget, bills, lock it down. Because shit is going to get real come September 1st. And believe me when I say that shit. So anybody listening, I don't care what they say on these news outlets or what you think, oh, whatever. Shit is going to hit the fan. Not to leave in fear, but that's in truth. As a professional,
And that's
in
what
this
we want.
finance game. So lock it down September 1. Shit is gonna get ugly. But with all that said, yo, peace and blessing to everybody. Yo, keep doing your own thing. Believe in yourself, everybody on this panel. You see what I'm saying? If you're doing your own thing, fuck what the haters say.
Hey.
Do what the fuck you need to do.
Hey.
I appreciate it. And last but not least,
So I have nothing.
thank you.
I have absolutely nothing.
Seriously?
I really have nothing. I have nothing at all.
Nothing sentimental?
No, we don't want no sentimental. No, we don't want no
I
sentimental.
definitely have nothing.
Damn.
I gotta get home.
It's been fun. The more I think about it, like we was kind of like bored out of our mind. Like who the fuck is sitting at somebody's house on Friday evening talking some shit? Like you could have been doing anything, and we chose to sit in your fucking basement for 2 hours, drinking and talking shit. It was.
Exactly.
It was like me too.
That's what I'm saying.
It was cool. I appreciate y'all. I do want to say one thing. Let the challenges before you provoke the power within you. Light up the world, light up your ass.
Not light up your ass.
You snatched it from NJ. NJ had to roll, so you snatched it from
That's all good.
Nah, but I definitely want to say thank you. It's been fun. I wouldn't have done this shit for nobody else. If anybody had called me and said, "Hey, what are you doing on Friday night?" I'd have lied and made up something. I honestly can say thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fucking fun. And I hate it because it's only 2 hours. And it's not until like later on in the afternoon when you be like, damn, I should have said this. I should have fucking said that. Like I call Professor Young ass performance. Yeah, then he call you back the next day talking about,
It's a wrap.
but yeah, it's been fun.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. Like I said,
Lose my number though. Don't send no group texts and shit. I don't do all that no more.
I appreciate it. I definitely want to thank Brother Nance because, like I said, this brother, he didn't have to do this for me, but like, I definitely appreciate it. Brother Nance has been on the show more than any fucking body. And times when I really didn't have, like, you know, everybody had stuff going on, so everybody couldn't make it all the time. But I call him up last minute, like, oh yeah, I'll be around there. And I definitely appreciate that. And just like this situation here, I appreciate it. I hope you all had a good time. I hope we didn't disappoint. This was just an idea that just a fucking idea. I have a bunch of them. I just don't verbalize them. But I'm not going to say a lot. I'm going to let y'all go. I appreciate y'all hanging out. I don't say meet obstacles before you provoke the power then no more. I got a new one from my uncle, and he says, speak in such a way that others love to listen to you, and listen in a way that others love to speak to you. That's all that I want to say. Thank y'all very much.
That was the word.